So why am I reviewing this again? So, very simple really, there are some tiny changes. And the reason I want to review it again is every time this launches in a new country, I'll get people looking at my older videos and that kind of thing. And I don't want to misrepresent what people are going to receive. So the main reason for doing this, it is almost the same, but I just want to make sure that when people see this, they're getting the actual finished product. So let's have a quick look at this and then we'll zoom into the magazine and that kind of thing. So, Mortal Realms. Collect, build, paint and play. That will be the 4 sections we get in the magazine and that we will build up in our ring binders as we continue the issues. A little advertisement for issue number 2, which is the Maimorn Banshees, a paint and a paintbrush. And a little catch up of what we'll get in issues 3 and 4, which are the Stormcast Eternal Castigators and the Glaive Wraith Stalkers. So that's kind of a run up of what we've got in the next couple of weeks and a little bit of information about what it is. So let's open this stuff up and have a look. And I will build these as well. In fact, before we zoom in, let's have a quick look at the poster we get with the issue. And I'll look at the rest of the materials in a minute. So, the poster itself, and it won't all fit into here, but the poster itself is lovely, very cool. And actually, it is different to the poster we got in the trial versions as well. So that is very cool. Let's have a look at the other side. We've got a rundown of what Mortal Realms is. We've got an image, a good image of the full collection, and I'll be using this in the next few days because I'm going to detail every single thing that's in the entire range. I'll be detailing it and costing it to see how much we're actually going to save. We've got details of the premium subscription. So if you pay an extra £2 a copy and you order online via Hachette, you'll receive a box of Flesh Eater Courts, Sylvaneth, Orruk Warclans and Blades of Khorne. It's got our subscriber gifts, which will be a set of clippers, some glue and a mould line remover. A binder with some dividers, just one binder and dividers. I think if we want more, we have to buy them. A small, medium and large brush. Small base, medium shade, large base. A water pot, which is actually better than you might think. A palette pad, which is worse than you probably think. And a paint handle. So that's all cool stuff. And then I'll quickly read this. Welcome to Mortal Realms. Welcome to Warhammer Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms and the thrilling hobby of tabletop wargaming. This is your gateway to the Mortal Realms, where the mighty armies of order, chaos, destruction and death clash against war-torn lands. You'll collect, build and paint armies of incredible miniatures to recreate the brutal wars of the Age of Sigmar in exciting tabletop games. Brilliant. Okay, so that's that. Right, what other materials did we get? We got a pull out of the Realm of Death Shyish. We got the magazine. We get a tiny playmat, which we'll be playing with. And we get the magazine. And I think that in here, yes, we get some more stuff. So we get a little thing to fill out that we can give to the newsagents that will tell us to start getting this in for us. We've got The same thing that was on the poster really. What's in issue 2, what's in issue 3, what we'll get free with our first delivery. So in terms of the free stuff you get with delivery, modelling kits, glue and all this kind of thing, if you order it via your newsagent, you won't get any of that stuff. Now, I order Warhammer 40k Conquest via my newsagent because I like him. He's a nice guy and I like to support him. And I don't need any of this extra stuff. I've already got it. And also, for anyone who doesn't know, the premium subscription with Warhammer 40k Conquest is crap. Absolute crap. And the extra stuff you get with it is nothing to get excited about. However, I am going premium and online with this because the extra stuff you get is brilliant, really good. So not only do you get the armies that I spoke about earlier, it's not a full army, but it's a good start. Certainly more than I think you get in a, certainly more than you would get in a start collecting box and that kind of thing. But you get a bunch of paints as well. So that's good. And then it just kind of details the rest of the stuff that will come free with the subscription. So that's cool. We get a range ruler that comes with it. Can't see that on a black background. So a range ruler. Then we get a box here that has got our three Stormcast Eternal Sequitors, our 10 Chain Rasp Horde, or 10 Chain Rasps from the Chain Rasp Horde, 6d6, and 10 bases for the Chain Rasps. You don't need bases for the Sequitors because theirs already come on the sprue. Now, before we start clipping these sprues today, I would urge people who are subscribing online to wait until they get their set of clippers and their mould line remover. I'll go into why that's important in a minute. But first, let's have a look through this magazine and find out about Mortal Realms. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go through each page a little bit to give you a flavour of what is going to come up over the next 80 weeks. Okay, so if this is the first time you've heard of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, then this is the publication for you. The heart of the Warhammer Age of Sigmar hobby is collecting and painting amazing miniatures and taking them to the tabletop to fight epic battles. Mortal Realms provides all the models, paints, and brushes and story you will need to bring the Age of Sigmar to life. And so going through the contents, we've got the Age of Sigmar. The God King Sigmar has returned. His warriors strike out across the mortal realms to combat evil and protect the innocents. Then we've got information about the Stormcast Eternals. These are the greatest of Sigmar's warriors. They strike with the strength of a raging storm and none can stand against them. Then we've got information about the Sequitors, which are these guys. Then we've got information about the Night Haunts. So they are a faction of death in this game. Then we've got information about the Chain Rasps, which are these guys. Then it's got a little detailed guide of how to build them. A little article about how to paint Citadel miniatures. We haven't got any paints in this issue, so we can't use them yet. Then we've got a playthrough for issue 1, the Eve of Battle, your first game of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Follow this step-by-step guide that sees your Sequitors battle a terrifying Chain Rasp horde. And then it's got the Shyish map. Shout out to the subscriber the other day who pulled me out for saying Shylish. I don't know what that means, but Shyish map, which has come separately for some reason. There's a nice fold out, but we'll take a look at that in a minute. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just go through each page very briefly. So, Age of Sigmar. The God King Sigmar has returned. His storm hosts pour forth to remove the taint of chaos from all 8 of the mortal realms. Though his forces have had many great victories, the war is far from won. Sigmar has many enemies. So this will give us details about the setting of the game. And then it goes specifically about the Stormcast Eternals. The shining warriors of the Stormcast Eternals strike on bolts of lightning hurled by the God King Sigmar himself. No foe can withstand their might, and their victories are many. And then has more information about them. Then specifically the Sequitors, our models for today. Sequitors are stern warriors schooled in the magical arts. They channel the power of the storm through the magical weapons given to them by Sigmar, unleashing it with each swinging strike. Okay, so that's that for Sigmar's side. Now we'll talk about Nighthaunts. Raised from the dead by Nagash's magical experiments, the Nighthaunt have burst forth from grave and barrow. Their ice-cold claws and scything blades have already carved the path of death and terror across the mortal realms. And so just to give you an indication of who Nagash is, so Sigmar is the leader of the Stormcast and he's kind of their god. Nagash, he is the god of death in Age of Sigmar, and he leads the Nighthaunt. Okay. More information there, and then this is details specifically about the Chain Rasps. The Chain Rasps are the most numerous of the spirits that make up the Nighthaunt processions. And you ain't kidding, we get 3 of these, 10 of these today. In death they wear the chains that bound them in life, howling in misery and anger as they drag their bonds. They are held together only by their hatred for those who still live. Okay, so then we've got our build guide. And so what I'll do is I'll quickly build these up and we'll take a look at them. Now, what I was saying about making sure you use a set of clippers if you've got them. If you try and clip these out with scissors or anything short of a kind of hobby knife or something like that, you're going to leave some pretty crappy marks on there. And so using clippers like these is very, very easy to get these off of the sprue and ready to be glued together, or in this case these are push fit models, so to be pushed together. Now those of you who subscribe via Hachette will receive a mold line remover. It won't be one like this, it'll be a kind of smaller plastic one, but they are very good. And what you can do is those areas where I just took cut it from the sprue, they will leave some small marks on here. See if you can see that. That is where the sprue was linked. So that's where the model was linked onto the sprue. And what you do is you use these to scrape those clean. It's got a hard edge on there, which it uses to scrape that. And that's it. You can still see where it was, but that is now flat. So that can be glued more easily. So anyway, I'll build these up and then we'll take a look at the end. Right, okay. So the build guide's pretty good here. Pretty straightforward. These models are very easy to put together today, so that's fine. Now we've got a one-pager for how to paint Citadel miniatures. Painting Citadel miniatures is one of the most creative and enjoyable parts of the Warhammer Age of Sigmar hobby, bringing the models to life on the tabletop. Read on to find out more about the fantastic and simple Citadel paint system and how you will use it to paint your models. They say it's simple, but there's hundreds of different paints available, so there you go. But anyway, so it says to read on. Obviously we've only got one page here, but as we start to file this into our folder over time, that paint guide will grow and grow. Okay, then we move on to the playing section, The Eve of Battle. Warhammer Age of Sigmar is a tabletop wargame for 2 players, each of whom acts as the general of an army of Citadel miniatures, commanding their collection of models in battles against their friends. Here we give an overview of how fun gaming can be to get you ready for your first game. So, and this is just an introduction. What it does is it gives us a small mission to play. Battle of the Barrows. The ancient mistrust between Sigmar and Nagash has festered for centuries and is now finally erupting in war. In the wake of the Necroquake, spirits rise from the grave to haunt the realms of men. So the Necroquake was a cataclysmic event that was caused, I believe, by burrowing Skaven or something like that, which gave life to Nagash's forces and brought the undead to life. In a huge event that changed the world of Age of Sigmar forever. That's a massive oversimplification, but that's roughly where we are with it. Spirits rise from the grave and haunt the realms of men. The Stormcast Eternals are the first in line of defence, battling the risen dead with grim determination. So we will need to lay our battle mat on a flat surface, and this is the battle mat we got. Place your dice and range ruler next to your mat for use when you need them. Grab a coin or other small item to use as a marker, and I'm going to use a token from Warhammer 40k. Set up your sequitors and chain rasps on the battle mat as indicated. Choose who will be the Sequitur player and who will be the Chain Rasp player. So anyway, that's roughly how it sets up for this little game that we've got today. So in this game, the Sequitors attack first. Okay, so pile in. Pick the Sequitur models up and move them closer to the Chain Rasps, using the ruler to check their distance. Check the distance they've moved. Move the models up to 3 inches. In order to attack, the Sequitur bases must end the move touching a Chain Rasp base. Right, so let's... Is that within 3 inches? It is, yeah. So let's move those up. So they are touching bases. Okay. Each Sequitur that has its base touching a Chain Rasp gets to attack. Sequitors get 2 attacks with their Storm Smite Mauls. Pick up 2 dice for each Sequitur that can attack. So all 3 can attack, so that's 6 dice. With their pile-in moves completed, your Sequitors can now make their attacks. Here we explain what to do. Okay, roll all of your dice. Okay, now that's actually a pretty fantastic dice. So we've got 2 6s, 2 5s, a 4 and a 3. Check the score on each dice, and you need a 3 up to hit. So all 6 dice hit. And trust me, that never ever happens to me. Okay, so that's working out to hit. Then it goes on to removing models. Count the number of successful hits that dice scores. The Chain Rasp player must remove 1 Chain Rasp model for each successful hit. Remove those models from the game by taking them off the battle mat and setting them to one side. So that, and these are all in there. So that was a full house. So that's basically how we do it. But that is a very basic view of how the combat works. Okay, now as we get to the end of the issue, we have so that's the end. So that's the end of the playthrough stuff. Then we look to see what's coming up. So subscribe to Mortal Realms. Never miss an issue of Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms with our fantastic subscription. And then the back page shows us what comes up in the next few weeks. So next week we've got the Mymorn Banshees with a pot of Corax white paint, so as we can start painting our models. And then issue number 3 is Stormcast reinforcements. So these are Castigator models, and that is a Gryph-hound there, and we get a pot of Retributor armor. So that's it. So now precious little has changed really since the trial issue. The main thing that's changed really is that this was previously in the book, and for some reason when it's been released it isn't. Now what this is another thing that we'll be filing with the rest of our data. This is about Shyish, the Realm of Death. It's got more information about who Sigmar is, more information about the war in the underworld, and some information about Nagash. Now a lot of this, to the text here, that image, this is all different to what we had in the trial version. But it is really interesting information. I really hope you guys have a real good look through that. Anyway, so that is it. That is issue number 1. And it's a doozy as well. I really like it. It's a great way to kick off the Mortal Realms. And yeah, I'm looking forward to more. So I'll see you next week for the next issue. Please drop a subscribe if you're interested in keeping up to date. I'll be reviewing issues number 1 to number 80. See you later.